And we begin at 5 with another victim of Portland's gun violence. The latest shooting, a woman killed overnight on Portland State University's campus. Thank you for joining us. Good evening. I'm David Mulco. And when we learn the victim's name, we will share that with you as it helps to put a face and a story to what often seems like one senseless killing after another. Let's bring in our Mike Benner now in Southwest Portland. Mike, the timing of this homicide here as city leaders try to highlight when it comes to battling gun crime, what they say is actually working.
Yeah, that's right, David. The men and women of the Portland Police Bureau play a big role in ending the gun violence we're seeing, but there is more to it, as outlined in the Portland Community Safety Division's first annual report, and we'll have more on that in a moment. First, it is worth mentioning that the most recent deadly shooting happened early this morning just down the block from where we're standing. PSU released a statement saying that it prioritizes the safety and well-being of its students and employees, adding that the campus public safety officers are in contact with the Portland Police Bureau.
This was the scene near Southwest College Street and 6th Avenue overnight. Authorities tell KGW that officers responded to reports of a shooting around 1 a.m. and found a woman dead. The victim is one of more than 22 people to lose their life to gun violence since the start of the year.
When we lose a life or shots have been fired or any kind of violence occurs that impacts these neighborhoods, it's I feel morally and ethically responsible for those items.
Mike Myers oversees Portland's Community Safety Division. He says despite the more than 400 shootings in the first few months of 2022, the city is doing a lot to end gun violence in the Rose City. Myers points to the millions of dollars awarded to community-based organizations operating in neighborhoods impacted by the gunfire. Myers is also proud of the expansion of the Park Ranger program and the official launching of both the Police Bureau's Enhanced Community Safety Team and Focused Intervention Team. All of this has been rolled out in the past year. And when asked what's had the biggest impact, Myers said this.
It is not one thing, and it will never be just one thing that will take the lead in reducing violence in a neighborhood.
Myers says it's many things, including community safety plans, similar to what we've seen in the Mount Scott neighborhood. That's where park lighting has been repaired and improved, and 18 traffic calming barrels installed to address gun violence and related speeding.
A comprehensive community safety plan rolled out in a community can work, that it can reduce gun violence significantly.
Maybe so. It just won't bring back the close to 24 people who have been gunned down in Portland this year alone. Most recently, a woman near the PSU campus, the latest victim of an epidemic that can't and won't be fixed overnight.
It's going to take time to get it down. There is no one thing that you can do to go in there and suddenly overnight reduce gun violence.
All right, Mike Myers goes on to say that a big piece of this community safety pie is looking at the calls for service in Portland. What calls need an armed officer and what calls do not need an armed officer? Myers and his team are working hard on that. As far as this most recent deadly shooting near the PSU campus, police are looking for tips from the public. So if you have any information, you're urged to contact authorities. David?
Still a lot of questions there. Mike Benner in Southwest Portland. Thank you, Mike. Well, she has written romance novels with titles like The Wrong Husband, and today Nancy Crampton Brophy went on trial for murder, accused of shooting and killing her husband. So in his opening statement, the prosecutor says she shot her husband, Daniel Brophy, twice in the back and then the chest. The crime in the early hours of June 2nd, 2018 at the Oregon Culinary School where Daniel worked as a chef and instructor. Let's bring in our Bryant Clerkley. Bryant, you have been following day one, gavel to gavel. One of the big questions I think a lot of our viewers might have here, motive. So bring us up to speed.
Hey, David. Well, the prosecution says that the motive was money. The prosecution says that Nancy Brophy had, thousands of dollars of life insurance money to gain from her husband. But the defense says that, the Brophies were in love, so Nancy could not have killed her husband. Brophy was the author of romance novels like The Wrong Lover, The Wrong Husband, and even penned an essay called How to Murder Your Husband. Court documents reveal Nancy Brophy could gain as much as $1.5 million from her husband's death. During the trial, the state showed surveillance video of Brophy driving around the culinary school the morning of the murder. The defense says by June of 2018, the Brophies were in good financial shape and had a great marriage.
By late January 2018, Nancy was once again searching for information regarding Glocks, including whether or not the Glock had a kickback when fired.
Nancy Brophy and Dan Brophy had an unusually healthy and vibrant marriage right up until the very end. Nancy's marriage was so healthy that the younger people that they mentored wanted a marriage just like theirs.
The state went on to say Brophy was seen by her neighbors a short time after her husband's death, and the neighbors said she seemed frantic. Now, the judge did rule that the How to Murder Your Husband blog post could not be used as evidence, and tomorrow the state will proceed with presenting its case. And we also heard from a couple witnesses today that worked up at the culinary school, and we expect to hear more testimony from them tomorrow. David, Laurel.
Already fascinating, and updates on our website, KGW.com, of course. We are also following some wild weather, Brian, across the area this evening, and that included strong winds, which toppled trees from Hillsborough to Portland, also hail in a few spots, if you can believe that. Let's bring in Chief Meteorologist Matt Safino. It is that unsettled spring weather, and I was just checking the outage map. We're at 18,000 customers for PGE without power. I guess the question, Matt, is it over?
You know, it's definitely winding down. It's not totally over yet, but it's not as bad as it was this morning. I was out driving this morning, and I saw PGE crews out there fixing power lines. So, yeah, it's real with those power outages for sure. But things should begin to calm down and will begin to calm down overnight tonight. Right now, though, still some thunderstorms coming inland from the coast. We had severe thunderstorms parts of Tillamook and Clatsop counties earlier. These storms not as severe, but we're getting lightning, we're getting gusty winds, and there's rain in Portland right now. So strong showers tonight. Possibly a thunderstorm could still bring down a limb or two or a power line or two, but I think the odds of that are diminishing by the minute. So I don't think we'll get many more new power outages, if any at all. Heavy snow in the Cascades, though, overnight tonight and into tomorrow morning, David. So there's still quite a bit going on, including some really warm days in the 7-day forecast. Back to you.
Sounds promising. Thank you, Matt. Well, a popular business in Northwest Portland is dealing with frustration and the reality of crime in the city. Staff at Cafe Nail say someone cut through their security gate this morning near Northwest 20th and Kearney and then stole alcohol from their outdoor dining area. Like so many other spots, that outdoor patio is what helps the restaurant survive pandemic restrictions. So here's how the owner responded to the theft.
Honestly, I've just begun to accept it as just one more challenge to overcome. You know, they're all just cost of doing business right now. There is no going back inside for this business. You know, I don't see my customer wanting to go back to the way things were.
That's the reality. Staff say the thief actually returned a second time this morning. That happened after police responded, took a report, and left. Well, to an update now in Portland's homeless crisis. On Sunday, a group set up these shelter tents in the park blocks of the Pearl District. That was despite the city being on the spot there with them as they set up, telling them no, they didn't have a permit. So organizers say they put up the tents as a response to other camps being cleared. Galen Etlin joins us now in the newsroom with an update. Galen, what happens next here?
Yeah, there's a lot of steps that are happening here, David. That camp on Northwest Park in Davis has shrunk since yesterday, but it's of course part of a bigger challenge in Portland. Advocates want people to have options and said they're protesting the city sweeping other camps. Mayor Ted Wheeler extended an emergency declaration to clear camps along dangerous streets and highways, and so far about 50 sites have been cleared since February. Others like this one along 6th and Davis have a posted notice there saying it will be cleared within this week. And while the park block site may not be along a dangerous road like that one, the people camping there do not have a permit, so the city is working on posting notice there too. Advocates say that doesn't solve the bigger problem, and that's why they're there.
Was to bring love and some humanity and kindness and compassion to people who are being swept.
Now, those advocates are calling on the passing of a state law that was left unpassed in 2020 that would allow this kind of shelter in a housing emergency. We've got more background about that linked on KGW.com.
All right, Galen, appreciate the update there. Thank you. Keep on checking your flight status before you head to PDX because Alaska Airlines canceled 40 more flights today, the fourth day of cancellations due to staff issues. You might remember Friday, Alaska pilots staged what they called informational protests across major West Coast cities that included Portland and Seattle and others amidst contract negotiations. So about 300 flights total have been canceled since Friday. The good news at PDX is only 3 Alaska flights were canceled today, though the domino effect here, the cascade, another 30 were delayed. So check that flight status. Okay, a new report finds Oregon's unique approach to dealing with drug-related issues has mixed results so far. You might remember in 2020, Oregon became the first U.S. state to decriminalize possession of small amounts of drugs like meth and LSD and heroin. Instead of being a felony, offenders are now handed a maximum $100 fine, and they can also have that fine waived if they call for a mental health assessment. But the numbers actually show few do. Here it is. Out of roughly 2,000 people cited since decriminalization, 2,000, only 92 people have called the hotline. Those in charge of implementing the new law say they are surprised. More of the people ticketed didn't take advantage of treatment options. They also add it is too early to judge the new approach.
It's